Welcome to the Learning Summit podcast, where we dive into the strategies, innovations, and insights shaping the future of learning and development. I'm Alex, your host, and today we're kicking off an important conversation about learning strategy, how organizations can create impactful, scalable, and sustainable learning experiences. Joining us for this discussion is a leader in the field, Gilligan, the founder of Webanywhere. Sean has spent years helping businesses and educational institutions enhance their digital learning experiences, and today we're going to unpack what makes a great learning strategy work.
Thanks, Alex. It's great to be here. I'm excited to explore how organizations can rethink their approach to learning and drive real impact.
Absolutely. Let's get started.
Here's something that blew my mind. Workplace learning has transformed more in the last 3 years than it did in the previous 30, with AI-powered platforms reducing training time by 50% while improving outcomes. The future of how we learn is happening right now.
That's fascinating, and it really connects to what I've been seeing in the field. The old model of classroom training is being completely reimagined.
You know what's really interesting about this transformation? Companies implementing AI-driven learning are seeing engagement rates jump by 70%. But here's the thing, it's not just about the technology itself.
Tell me more about how organizations are actually making this work in practice.
Well, let me share something surprising. Organizations that combine AI-powered personalization with human-centered approaches are seeing ROI improvements of over 300% compared to traditional methods. They're creating what some experts call learning in the flow of work.
So what you're saying is that learning is becoming seamlessly integrated into daily tasks, rather than being this separate activity.
Exactly right, and the data backs this up. Studies show that employees are 40% more likely to apply what they learn when it's integrated into their workflow. Think about having instant access to knowledge exactly when you need it.
That really changes the game for how we think about workplace development.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Virtual and augmented reality are entering the picture. Early adopters report that VR-based training can reduce learning time by up to 96% while improving retention by 75%.
Those numbers are incredible. I've been following several pilot programs using these technologies for everything from technical skills to leadership development.
Speaking of leadership development, let me share something that's really caught my attention: the rise of social learning platforms. Companies using collaborative learning environments are seeing retention rates improve by up to 75% compared to solo learning.
Well, that makes sense when you think about how humans naturally learn and share knowledge.
But here's what keeps me up at night: the AI aspect. While it's revolutionizing learning, studies show that 85% of employees express anxiety about AI in the workplace. How do we address that?
That's such an important point about the human element. I've seen organizations successfully navigate this by focusing on developing what they call AI complementary skills.
You know what's fascinating about those AI complementary skills? Demand for capabilities like critical thinking and emotional intelligence has increased by more than 200% in just 5 years. It's completely reshaping what we consider essential workplace skills.
The way you're describing this reminds me of how smaller organizations are using these technologies to compete with larger enterprises.
That's right, and it's leading to something remarkable. Companies with comprehensive digital learning platforms are experiencing 50% higher employee retention rates and 37% higher productivity levels. The democratization of these tools is leveling the playing field.
So what do you think this means for the future of workplace learning?
Well, looking at the trends, we're seeing the emergence of predictive learning paths using AI to anticipate skills needs before they become critical. Organizations using these approaches have reduced their skills gaps by up to 60%.
That predictive capability really does change everything about how we approach workforce development.
And here's what I think ties it all together: the creation of what experts are calling the learning ecosystem of the future. When you combine AI, social learning, VR, and predictive analytics, you're not just improving training, you're fundamentally transforming how organizations develop and maintain competitive advantages.
Those insights really drive home why this isn't just another tech trend. It's a complete paradigm shift in how we think about learning and development.
Looking ahead, I think we're going to see even more integration between these different learning technologies. The organisations that succeed will be the ones that can balance technological innovation with maintaining meaningful human connections. It's not just about keeping up with technology, it's about creating sustainable advantages through continuous learning.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of the Learning Summit podcast. A huge thank you to Sean Gilligan for sharing his insights on learning strategy and how organisations can create meaningful, impactful learning experiences. Today's conversation was informed by insights from leading research on learning strategy, including the 70-20-10 model, ATD reports, LinkedIn Learning, CIPD, and real-world case studies from Webanywhere. If you found today's conversation valuable, don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with others. Thanks for listening.